Hey, I'm James, and this is my game stringThing. It's a pen and paper game that has a bit of a dexterity element, something that's a little bit arts and crafty, and you can play with your kids. So you can see here I've taken a nice big wooden bead and tied it to the end of about 3 feet of purple yarn. And I've got some plain white paper, and I've got a few markers. What I'm going to do is to draw sort of a start and end point for the game, for this level. And I'm just going to write start here and kind of draw a little circle around it. And it doesn't really matter where you put these on the paper, they could even be right next to each other. And I'll put end over here. The next thing I'm going to do is to make a few goals on the page here. So I'm going to put some red stars in different places. I'll just put a couple. I'll make it kind of an easy level. And I will also put, I'll put a little kitty cat face here for a different kind of an obstacle. Third kind of thing I'm going to need here is something to block the path of the string, and of course you can just like draw lines, but I think I'll do little shapes like this in between all the major points. Just like that. So there's the level. The way you would play the game is to take the yarn with the bead on the end and drop the bead in the start zone. And now you're just going to gently lay down the thread, and your goal is to lay a path to the end from the start. You want to cross over as many stars as you can, and you want to loop all the way around the kitty, catching the kitty, and not cross over any of the blue parts. And if you want the game to be a little more complicated, you can say, you can make rules like no backtracking, or you can only move your hand down and not up again, and that sort of thing. And there you go. So I got 2 stars and I circled the kitty. And I didn't hit any of the blue zones. My thoughts about how the scoring works are that you'll get 3 points for each star that you connect with, and for every time you completely loop around the cat, not for every time, but for each cat you completely capture, you get 5 points. And then if you cross over or touch any of the blue boundaries, then that's -2 points for each time you do that. So the total possible score on this level would be 3, 3, 3 is 9, plus 5 is 14. So you'd have to kind of do a different path than I did through it. Let's say that my path would look something more like this, though. Let's say I missed one of the stars, caught the cat. Mostly we're going to call it good. If you were playing an advanced game with older kids, you might say, yeah, you have to get the whole cat, but I'm going to let that slide. Definitely hit the blue zone, definitely caught that star, and with a younger audience, this is probably permissible. If you want to be really more careful, then touching a blue thing at all would be bad. So I'm going to say that's -2, minus another 2, so -4. 3 points for catching a star, 5 points for catching the cat, so that's 8 minus 4 is 4 points in a complete path. You make much more advanced levels here. I've got the start and the end together, and a bunch of kitty cats everywhere, and stars behind, lots of different things. With the amount of string that I used, you wouldn't have enough to do all of this, so you'd have to sort of pick the path where you think you can get the most stuff and then come back, or use a longer string, or something like this where the stars are very hard to get to and there's lots of very dangerous narrow gaps in different places. So you can just sort of, take turns making levels and trying them out, maybe challenging each other to see who can get the most points on a level, or just playing it for fun and seeing what you can do.